Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day whenever you're deciding to listen to this episode. I hope it's found you at the exact right time. If you are listening in real time, then, amazing. But if you've found this episode because it has been drawn to you or you feel like this is your life right now, do not fret, because I want to talk about the impact of balancing short-term goals when you have a life to live and you have other priorities, other commitments, you have people in your life that you can't let down, you have responsibilities that you need to show up for, despite having a big short-term goal, or maybe even like a medium-term goal that is taking up and eating up so much of your time. And I feel like this applies in both business and in our personal lives. When we have a big goal, a goal that maybe we are putting a lot of our energy and attention and just everything really, our drive and oomph to basically just exist into this big goal, it can honestly be such a cup drainer. And when you're pouring so much energy and putting so much into that one thing, it can really deplete, the reserve left for those other areas of your life. So this episode really was inspired and is inspired by my London Marathon journey. And I'm sorry, guys, if again I'm talking about the marathon, but this is what I mean by it taking up and eating up so much of my life. And I did not think that it would be, I knew it was going to be a huge commitment, but I didn't realize just how much it was going to take over my entire life. And although it's a very quick and fast moving course and weeks of training, and it is flying by, I do feel like week by week it is getting harder. And I'm currently on week 10, I believe, or week 9, just coming to the end of it. And I've honestly really hit a point now where it's getting real. Now, you guys are going to be watching / listening to this podcast a little bit later down the line because, yes, I am pre-recording these episodes. So there's a chance I'm either just about to run the marathon or I have already run it, in which case we'll see how that outcome turns out. And I will, of course, be doing an episode on it post-marathon. But right now, where I'm sitting at week 9 and it's getting real. The commitment to the long runs is taking over, and I'm running 4 times a week, 2 times a week training as well. On top of that, to strength train and get my body ready for this long run that I have coming up in April. Now, I feel like an episode on big short-term goals is really going to be helpful for those of you out there who are either doing something similar or you're wanting to challenge yourself in some way in a short-term, bite-sized chunk of your year, or just a short-term goal. And even when you zoom out and you look at a bigger picture thing, sometimes taking a degree or doing a short course, that could actually be a short-term goal in your eyes. But this episode is really going to highlight and kind of discuss the challenges and benefits of focusing on a single goal and what you can actually do to balance and juggle it all, because I'll be the first person to admit I find it incredibly hard. I would definitely say that there are areas of my life that I'm not putting 100% in, and it's just physically not possible. You cannot give yourself 100% in everything that you do, particularly if you're working towards a big goal. Unless, for example, you are someone who is really got a team of people behind them to ensure that they can do and be everything, in which case that's a different story, but we'll touch on that. Because I feel like with the marathon, in my head, I'm checking myself and I'm stupidly comparing myself to athletes, people who have trained all their life and have focused in on this niche area and are good at what they do in this particular area, which is running. And secondly, people who have time on their hands to dedicate 100% to what they are doing. They have no other responsibilities. They have literally people carting them from A to B, getting them on runs and, working with nutritionists, that type of thing. When I actually think about the average Joe that is running the London Marathon, I think there are going to be so many more people running it in a similar position to me than there are athletes on the day. And I have to remind myself of that. We're not going for a sub 3 hour here. We're just going to complete the race. And that's what I'm going in. Not that I shouldn't aim high or try and, surpass my limits and beat myself. But I do think there are times when, you should really assess at how well you can do something and how well you can complete something. And I know for a fact that my goal is to complete the marathon. So that is what I'm focusing on. And that short-term goal, yes, I talk about it every single waking minute of my day. If I'm not talking about it in a positive sense, I'm moaning about it to my poor family who are probably sick and tired of hearing about it. But when you are so consumed in a goal and a focus and it is your be all and end all, it really does take over. And what I want to kind of highlight as well is where we should be juggling other things in our life and whether we should be even, because there's a lot to be said for what you can do when you focus on just one thing at a time, one step. Like every step moves you forward. I've always said that quote, and it's actually the quote in my bio for Strava. Every step moves you forward. And it's so, so true. And I think sometimes we try and be everything to everyone. And is it wrong to focus on one thing and try and do a million other things at the same time? Or is it better to go, you know what, let's do this first. So let's talk about it. So I would say that in the last 6 months, I have got much better at this. And it was one of my focuses for 2024 was to really see the year as Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And by breaking down the year into those manageable couple of months chunks, I've been able to really tackle imminent projects, imminent tasks, and have more of like a game plan in place for when I'm going to start other things. And there's things in my head right now that I know are going to come in Q4. I don't have to stress about those now. So I'm someone who gets very, very distracted by the next idea or the next passion, the next thing that I want to do or I told myself I wanted to achieve in 2024. The year's just gone, and I find I see everything as achievable and as though it can happen. But I would definitely say when I have loads of ideas come to me or when I am trying to do multiple things at one time, I have this thing which I'm going to describe as like time dysmorphia. So like no understanding of time itself, and almost as if time just runs away with me. I always say that I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And it's actually such a bad affirmation because I need to tell myself I have plenty of time. I have more than enough time. And it's something that I wish someone could drill into me more. Like I feel like I'm constantly reminding myself of that. And I feel like anyone who watches my vlogs or knows me well and personally is probably sick to death of the fact that I set timers for everything. I have to. I literally have to set timers. Otherwise, I get distracted and I lose complete track of time. Like if I'm leaving the house or something, I have to set a timer. If I'm going downstairs to make a cup of tea, I have to set a timer because I'll go and notice that the laundry needs doing and go put the laundry on and then faff about and waste time there. So in order to really understand why it is or why I am the way I am with lots of things happening at once and trying to juggle everything, I need to understand that, okay, there's a reason why I try and do lots of things, and I think it's speeding up things for me, but actually it's not. It's hindering me, it's distracting me, it's leading me down another task that I need to do. And then in the end, I'm looking at the end of the day and I'm like, oh, well, I've started 20 tasks, but I've completed none. And actually, the marathon has been the biggest wake-up call for that. It has been the reminder that if I start this and don't finish it, when it comes to race day, I am not going to be able to do it physically. My body will not be able to run a marathon if I do not complete each run every single week. If I'm not showing up and getting the job done, it's not going to pay off. And I think there's probably people that have and will run the marathon with no training, and that's fine. But just for this episode, let's imagine that every single person that is racing that race and finishing it has trained and has put in time, effort and energy and finished the task at hand. So with that kind of linking on to how you guys can better juggle your priorities when you do have that big task and that big focus, think about time blocking and blocking your year out better, because I definitely have that issue where I struggle to understand the concept of time, and you might do too. So now with those longer term goals, it's a little trickier. We can't set an iPhone timer for 6 months' time. We can't be like, let's set a timer to remind ourselves. I mean, we could set maybe like a calendar reminder, but it's not like I've got a timer going for 16 weeks time when I started, back in January, and I'm going, oh, let's set a 16-week timer for the marathon, but we can make an outline and we can be predictive with each quarter, what we want to do, achieve, or start working on, or even just complete. And I think right now, I know right now, since January, even since before January really, but since January, like hardcore, I am living, breathing, sleeping, and even dreaming about the London Marathon and, thinking about running. I am on such a tight schedule that if I don't become it, in a sense, it becomes me. So I need to kind of tackle the mental aspect of running. And I feel like these runs are each and every run that I do is so integral to my final performance and my progress, because I learn a new thing about myself every time I put my trainers on and get on the treadmill or I get out on a long run. It's really taught me a lot about my previous approaches to goals, that I'm very last minute typically with what I do, and I'm the type of person that will have this burst of energy and like, yes, let's do it, let's make it happen, and then I'll start telling people, and the oomph and the emphasis and the drive to get it done and actioned starts to deplete. It's almost as if the minute I talk about it, it gets really hard. Whereas with the London Marathon, what's been so interesting is I was so scared to tell people because I thought this is what was going to happen to me. And the minute I talk to people, I'm going to feel that endorphin as if I've achieved it already. But actually what it's done is make me in a kind of, I don't want to say this in a positive way because I don't think it's good, but kind of made me like anxious, but almost like excitable anxious about the prospect of, oh my gosh, I've told 12,000 followers and my Facebook friends and my friends and family that I'm running the marathon. I've got them to donate money to me. Like, I have to do this now. So it's funny how that has completely thrown my idea and my concept of, if I talk about my dreams and hopes and goals to someone, I'm not going to achieve it. So that's really interesting. And I feel like when you're in a big goal and it's very short term and it's coming and it's imminent, maybe it's an exam, or maybe you're learning to drive and you've got a driving test coming up, you're going to be cramming, or you're going to be doing as many lessons as you possibly can. Sometimes that like short term feeling and that ball of anxiety that you might be feeling towards that goal getting done and being completed and being successful is actually the thing that's going to really drive you to achieve it. And yeah, I feel like as well, weirdly, it's made me realize there's a lot of people out there who still see big goals in the short term as quite a taboo thing, almost as if, well, it's taking up all your time, you're always busy, you're always doing this thing. It's a bit strange, really, how people can see and view you pushing yourself to finish something or achieve something as a hindrance to other people. And yes, it might hinder other people, but sometimes it is kind of seen as taboo. And I've kind of unpicked that as of late with certain areas of my life. So I think I want to kind of explore the challenges of maintaining that balance in all aspects of your life, because there are going to be people that see you focusing on something massive and huge and a big project as a taboo thing. And like, why would they do that? Why would they try and put themselves through that? But to put it quite honestly, I think I've faced numerous mental hurdles during my training. And a lot of those mental hurdles have been from that weird niggling feeling of overwhelm and trying to do and be everything to everyone. And I say this so many times on my podcast that I think it is so a part of me, and a part of me will always be a bit of a people pleaser. I hate to admit it, guys. I hate to admit it, but I think I definitely am. You know, I try and be everything. I don't want to ever let anyone down. It's never my intention to. But I think when you're in it and you're overwhelmed and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to do this thing and I need to do this. I need to maintain my life. I need to be a healthy person. I need to be a good friend. It can be so overwhelming, and really sometimes you just have to kind of throw all that out of the window for like 5 minutes or like however long your goal's going to be, and remind yourself that yes, there might be a deadline. There might be something that you need to get done in order to win or have this success or complete this big goal. But you are still human. You know, I've forgotten deadlines. I've forgotten friends' birthdays. It's normal. It's human. We are literally not living, breathing, timekeeping, calendar holding brains. Like some of you might be, but I definitely am not. I have Google Calendar for a reason, and I have my phone, and I set myself timers on a daily basis. I think I probably do like 20 or 30 timers a day. I'm not joking you. So it's a challenge to remember all the other stuff when the goal is literally hurtling towards you and eclipsing everything else going on in your life. You know, you can't see necessarily all the other stuff behind the goal when the goal is like in your face, coming towards you. That's how I see the London Marathon. I'm literally sprinting towards this goal, and I'm like, shit. This is coming soon. This is happening. I haven't done this. I haven't, relaunched my podcast. I'm pre-recording this because I know it's going to be in a back catalogue for a little while. It's going to take me a minute to get through the editing, but it's okay. And I think people forget that when you are in that like mixture of emotions, anxiety, overwhelm, excitement, your brain's just constantly focusing on it. You're having nightmares, or some days you're having dreams about what you're about to do or achieve or trying to complete. And someone's texting you and saying, hey, why are you ignoring me? Oh my gosh. Sorry, Susan, I didn't realise I've ignored you for 3 weeks. I'm looking at myself like this because I can feel that it's totally me and it's totally my doing. But I know there's going to be people out there watching this and listening to this podcast thinking, oh my gosh, Alice, thank God you said it, because I've left so many people on read or unread. I've got unread messages basically. I wouldn't leave people on read, but I would just not open it. Is that really bad? But yeah, I feel like the reason it's taboo is because sometimes the big goal impacts other people. And other people are like, whoa, I normally have this much access to you and now I don't. And that can kind of feel like, is it a me thing? Is it a you thing? I think genuinely it's not personal. It's just that person is like completely blinded by the eclipse of the goal. So think about that. If you are the person with the big goal, or you've got someone, or someone in your life who has a really big goal, I feel like this can even apply to personal things like weddings or children. Someone's having a baby. Like they might be thinking, oh my gosh, 9 months and I'm going to have a baby. Like I see those friends that are going through that now, and no wonder they're busy. They are so busy. They are all consumed by the fact that they are having a child and bringing a child into the world. So, this can be applied to so many areas of your life, business, career, friendship, like you name it. It is applicable. So it shouldn't feel taboo, and it shouldn't feel like, you're trying to do and be everything. It doesn't mean you're a bad person either. And I think you're just simply focusing some short-term energy somewhere else. And maybe it's like 100% of your energy is going into that thing, that one area. So really with this, I want this episode to just remind you you're not alone. If you're someone that's really trying their hardest to do something and have something happen for you, it doesn't make you a bad person. And I think what I would do, and I think I wish I did this sooner, is just let the people around me, like close friends. I've let a lot of people know, but I feel like letting more friends and people around me in my circle know what is going on, or what I'm going through, or maybe what they're going through, just to kind of be like, okay, are you working on anything right now? I totally understand this is going to be taking up a lot of your time. Not only can you like step back from that person so you feel like you're giving them that space to breathe, but they might also need you. So it's a balancing act. Maybe having that conversation with a friend or family member and just saying, look, this is me right now. My next, I don't know, however long we've got left, 8 weeks less than, of Saturdays, I'm going to be doing long runs, and then I'll be running the marathon. So the next 8 weeks, I'm really sorry I can't do any weekend plans. They'll understand. They'll be like, oh, okay, well, that's not that far away, We'll catch up. We'll have a phone call in the meantime to catch up. That just takes the pressure off a little bit. And I feel like you want that balance of support system, but also some time away, just to kind of gather your thoughts and give that person space, depending on who's doing the goal here. Who's got the big goal? You might both be going through a big time in your life and experiencing, a period where you're changing things up and, both working towards a huge goal, and maybe you both need support or you both need space. So I feel like I've shared these strategies before, and I know for a fact I've shared these strategies before, guys. You're probably sick and tired of me mentioning this, but genuinely I use it and I love it, and I'm a very visual person, and I find it's, important for me to see visually what I'm putting in energy wise to areas of my life. So whenever I feel a little bit out of whack, I always come back to this strategy of the habit wheel tracker. So just sitting down and colouring in that wheel and just working out which categories of my life are getting the most attention, where I'm pouring my energy into. You could even do this with all your goals for the year. You could go around the wheel and put through all your goals. So mine might be the London Marathon, mine might be to work on TikTok more, or create more content on TikTok. I could literally go around with all my goals for the year and work out, okay, it's March, it's April, whenever this is going live. Oh my goodness. Where am I sitting? Where am I sitting with all my goals? And work out maybe even where you want to, or when you want to tackle those goals, Q1 to 4, figure it out. So I feel like I love this process because it really is a snapshot in time of my life right now. And I can compare it to, other trackers throughout the year or in previous years. I have the ability to really sit back and assess in an easy to understand way, where I'm going to be putting my energy or where I have been lacking in certain areas, even in, the general sense. So I know for a fact, fitness and running is going to be my tallest bar on the tracker wheel. So think about that. Where are you focusing your time and attention? What goal or what area of your life or category is getting the most out of you? As mentioned earlier, having goals split across each quarter have really, really helped me as well. Goals for Q4. I'm not going to be thinking about those because it's not Q4 yet. I've set them aside. I'll focus on them. Maybe I've got leads for things, but I'm leaving it part there. I can start cracking on with those things when that time rolls around, and it just takes the pressure off a little bit. It's like I'm not forgetting to do it. I'm just moving it and setting it aside for a different day, a different time of the year. I feel like with personal things like relationships, friendships, children, I would certainly say that there will always be periods like this in your life where, you're not able to give 100% to someone or something because something else is happening in the forefront of your life, and that's totally normal. I think the key really is in both senses. If you're the person going through that, or if you're witnessing or you know of someone who is going through that big goal or big transition, to just show empathy for them and communicate with them clearly. I think have empathy for yourself as well in the same breath. I think we're very hard on ourselves, and I've been very hard on myself throughout this training process, that I am maybe letting people down or not putting 100% into other areas. And I've actually surrendered to it now. I've gone, you know what? I'm halfway through my training now. It's not long to go. I have to focus on myself. I have to be selfish. And then once that's done, everyone is welcome to me.